Okay, so today I'm going to start with do what you are, and how I came to this book and how I learned about character. What a character! And the temperaments and the personalities, and how we ENTPs operate in the world. And then I'm going to tie it with some books, my Usborne books and more, that really tie into personalities. And hopefully it'll give you a feel for who Marla is, who Cuban Goddess Book Lady is, and why this climate that we're in today is actually very hard for ENTPs to fit in, because it is very hard to fit in. So a long time ago, I identified my personality, and I took a test both in undergrad and in law school. And then, as part of those Born Books and More, I took another test, and this one was more of the color. And then, because I'm an ENTP, I was curious how the colors overlapped with the Myers-Briggs. So that's even more interesting. But ENTPs, we're approximately 2 to 5% of the American population. And ENTPs love excitement and challenge. Enthusiastic and ingenious. We are talkative. That's why YouTube is kind of cool. Clever and good at many things. Actually, I have to say that I'm not good at many things. And I don't know about that one. I don't know. And constantly strive to increase their competence and personal power. ENTPs are born enterprising. That is true. That's true. You know I'm very fun. Everybody loves me. They are fascinated with new ideas and are alert to all possibilities. They have strong intuitive and operate on creative impulse, which is why I'm on YouTube or Facebook or LinkedIn. But in this climate, we can't operate online because they're violating our rights. We can't Anyways, the ENTPs value their inspiration above all and strive to turn their original ideas into reality. That's true. They are inquisitive, versatile, adaptable, and resourceful in solving challenging and theoretical problems. Alert and outspoken. Yeah, I'm very alert and outspoken. ENTPs can easily see the flaw in any position, which makes it really hard in this climate because you're seeing the flaw and you're saying, hey, look at this picture. This is kind of wrong. And people do not see it the way we do. They have excellent analytical reasoning for analytical abilities and are great strategic thinkers, which is why I love jazz and I love the legal industry. They can almost always find a logical reason for the things that they want. Most ENTPs like to test the limits around them and consider that most rules and regulations are meant to be bent, and that is true, if not broken. They are sometimes unconventional in their approach and enjoy helping others to push past what is accepted and expected. They like to live freely and look for fun and variety in everyday situations. ENTPs deal imaginatively with social relationships and often have a great number of variety of friends and acquaintances. I used to have a variety of friends and acquaintances until the leftists took over. They did. Now I don't, because I poke and probe on ideas. So I don't have a great many now. I just have conservatives. And I have one liberal friend. But she's also like a thinker. So I think we blend because we can spar mentally with each other. So if I find a friend that likes to spar, we usually become friends for life, and I'm loyal. ENTPs can be charming and stimulating company and often inspire others to become involved in their projects through their infectious enthusiasm. They prefer to try to understand and respond to people rather than judge them. That is true. I hate being judged. But we do have blind spots, and because ENTPs value creative and innovative above all, and innovation above all else, they sometimes ignore the standard way of doing something simply because it is not original. Their intense dislike for routine and predictable can make it difficult for them to notice the necessary details. They sometimes neglect the needed preparation when, in their zeal to take on something fresh, they dive in too quickly. And once major problems are solved, they're often off to the next exciting adventure rather than sticking around to see the original project through. They need to work towards making commitments to fewer projects so they will complete one more of the ones they start. Often ENTPs talk so quickly and so much they don't allow others to contribute. And that's true. I don't talk quickly, but I do talk a lot. And I often, if you're not keeping up with my ideas, it's kind of hard for me to stop myself. So they are honest and fair, but can be blunt and tactless, and that is true. In their ready criticism of others, ENTPs need to consider the feelings of others as valid and important, even if they don't share them. While they can be charming, funny, and entertaining, they can be insincere. I'm not insincere. Well, in the younger years, when I was made to behave a certain way, we tend to put on a mask and a filter over ourselves, and we may come across as insincere because we're trying really hard not to tell the truth about what we're thinking. So I don't think that we're insincere per se. It's just that if we don't filter ourselves, which is pretty bad, we come across as insincere. ENTPs need to resist the urge to simply adapt and perform, and instead share their genuine emotion. And I'm in the point where I do share my genuine emotion, and you know what, in this climate, it's really hard to share your genuine emotion because so many people have this filter over what they're thinking, and they want to just I don't know, it's really hard in this climate. People are not sincere. I don't know about you, but I actually don't see it. ENTP's reluctance to commit to one thing stems from the fear that they may miss another, more appealing opportunity. Their desire to remain open and responsive to new challenges can make them undependable and inconsiderate of others of the plans and schedules of others. Thinking through their actions affect others will help them be more dependable. And I overthink my actions. A mature ENTP does all the things that their blind spot says. And I think it's frustrating in this climate because we overthink everything. And in this climate, it's like, it's tough. It's really tough to be an ENTP. ENTP's natural quickness and ability to anticipate what is coming means they occasionally assume erroneously that they knew what the person was going to say. And in the past, I used to think so quickly that my husband would say, you know what, you got to stop and let them finish. And I'm like, but I already know what they're thinking. And usually I was accurate. I just need you to be like, okay, come to the bottom line. What's the bottom line? I'm not an A type. I'm more of a D type, BD type in personality. So I'm not overly high strung, although I am very enthusiastic about my ideas. So taking the time to pay closer attention to what actually is going on in the real world around them and listening carefully to the input and reactions of others will help them avoid appearing arrogant and rude. Okay, so in the past I did come across as arrogant because I already knew what was going on. And I don't think people are stupid, but they're not at my same page and they're not following my thinking. And so I'm here thinking ahead of them. And also, we are very impulsive. And so we tend to kind of like, okay, we start with one idea and then the conversation goes to the next idea and then it goes to the next idea and then it goes to the next idea. And we just keep on jumping from one idea to the next. And that's what makes it tough for ENTPs, and we come across as rude or arrogant. But we are not rude or arrogant, and we are actually very good at empathizing with others. It's just that we feel all these emotions. I mean, it's like crazy. I notice emotions, and it like makes me so nervous because I'm like, well, what is he thinking? Why can't he I'm getting this vibe, you know? And that's actually very scary in itself. So looking at all the different types, there are 4 types. ENTPs land on these. These are the levels of ENTP. So an ENTP is we're conceptualizers, along with ENTJs, INTJs, and INTPs. And so when you meet one of those, my husband, he's a traditionalist. I believe he's an ISTJ, and I know I'm accurate because I just made him do the color test from UBAM. So he's a high green. He's very traditionalist at work. But I'm going to tell you, the conceptualizers, we're only 10% of the population. So we are intuitive thinkers. By now, you know that intuitives look for meaning in all things and focus on implications. And you'll remember that thinkers make decisions impersonally and logically. Taken together, these two preferences create an intuitive thinker, a type of person who is intellectual and competent, and whom we call a conceptualizer. The motto for conceptualizers might well be excellent in all things, and that is true. We are sort of like perfectionists, and we hate it when we do mistakes. They are the most independent of the 4 temperaments, driven to acquire knowledge and set very high standards for themselves and others. Naturally curious, conceptualizers usually can see many sides to the same argument or issue. Conceptualizers are excellent at seeing possibilities, understanding complexities, and designing solutions to real hypothetical problems. Their role is often that of an architect of change. And in this climate, we are the architects of change, and you're going to best see us trying to change the current situation for the better of humanity. Conceptualizers enjoy using their abilities to see possibilities and analyze them logically to solve problems. They are interested in constantly acquiring knowledge, either for its own sake or for strategic purpose. Our strengths are we have visions and can be great innovators. They can see possibilities as well as the big picture, and they can conceptualize and design necessary changes within the organization. They excel and enjoy strategizing, planning, and building systems to accomplish their goal. So right now I am building a system, and I have my own website, and I'm currently trying to build a book club platform where we can talk about books and ideas and share things without having big tech censure us. I think that's a problem for a lot of ENTPs. Conceptualizers understand complex theoretical ideas and are good at deducing principles or trends. They enjoy being challenged and demand of themselves and others, and can usually accept constructive criticism without taking it personally. Well, that part, when I was younger, I really couldn't accept it. It took me years to actually get thick in my skin and realize it's not personable. It's not personal. It's not personal. So now I can see the criticism. Unless it's really harsh, and I'm like, whoa, you're not being constructive. So, at their best, they are confident, witty, and imaginative. I'm not that witty. My brother is witty. Potential weakness. Sometimes conceptualizers can be too complex for others to understand. They have a tendency to overlook necessary details. They can be deeply skeptical and often challenge rules, assumptions, and customs. And which is really hard because at our community, I tend to challenge the rules and the policies and analyze whether they're being harsh or strict or easy or not fair. And that gets me into trouble a lot. They also sometimes have trouble with authority and can be seen as elitists, or see others as elitists. Conceptualizers often fail to see how they affect others, and they may not be interested in either harmony or the importance of feelings. ENTPs do care about feelings, and we do care about harmony. So at least the women ENTPs do. They can be fiercely competitive, and I'm not fiercely competitive. ENTPs are, unlike other conceptualizers, are not fiercely competitive. We're competitive with ourselves and our thinking. That's what makes us different than other conceptualizers. And some are arrogant, remote, and in a world of their own. And yes, we ENTPs are remote and in a world of our own, and we can be thought of as arrogant if we go around being too confident with ourselves. But I'm going to move on from there because I want to talk about identifying the innate strengths. And I've done several tests, so maybe next time I'll give you the skills one about, what strengths we have as ENTPs. But the hierarchy for ENTPs are intuitive, thinking, feeling, sensing. So we do feel, and we do like feelers. So I do want to talk about those, and I'm just going to moving right along to the auxiliary function, which is dominant intuitives. We're dominant intuitives, we're super intuitive, and we see implications everywhere like dominant sensors. Dominant intuitives come in 4 varieties, and they use the inferences they have gathered in different ways. So ENTPs and ENFPs are both dominant intuitives, and they see implications. And they are both extroverted, They naturally see all possibilities around them. Both types are creative, perceptive, and imaginative, but the auxiliary function for ENTPs is thinking, which means they are logical. ENTPs tend to be strategic, challenging, and theoretical. The auxiliary for ENFPs are feeling, which means that they are people oriented. ENFPs tend to be curious, enthusiastic, and friendly. But my auxiliary, my T and my Fs are kind of like at the same level. So I kind of like flow between. I am not a high T and I'm not a high F, and I am not a low F or a low T. I am directly in the middle. So I think that more than other ENTPs or ENFPs, I personally, when I was younger, I didn't have my T wasn't very high because I wasn't taught to think in school. And so I really did maneuver around the Fs a little bit more, although I'm not a high F. So I was always very theoretical and very balanced and very level headed, but I wasn't strong in the T because my reading skills were quite shoddy, and I had a low level to it. I was a functional illiterate. I was a functional illiterate. Now that I'm functionally literate, thanks to my own learning and my own curiosity and my own enthusiasm around books and learning and thinking and talking to people, and because I wasn't a high thinker, I had to depend a little bit more on my feeling side, and I had high morals, so it kind of like balanced. So I am a T, and I am a balanced T, and I am a balanced F. But I do like to challenge. Now that I'm a functional literate person, I am able to balance my F and my T. And I wanted to talk to you about that because when you find an immature ENTP, they're usually off on one area. And they're either off on their T or they're either off on their Fs. But if their T is high, then they can't use their sensing correctly. And so I think that that's where in our society there are so many. Most Americans are functionally illiterate. So whether they are one or the other, because of their functional illiteracy, they can't use these traits as effective as they possibly could had they been schooled better. So, to give you a clear picture of ENTPs, where are they? We're extroverted, and for both ENTPs and ENFPs, intuition is dominant and extroverted. ENTPs introvert their auxiliary function, which is thinking, and ENFPs introvert their auxiliary function, which is feeling. Because ENTPs and ENFPs love possibilities, they need to be free to pursue as many options as they can. To be satisfied, they need to express their ideas. Get that? Get that YouTube? Get that Facebook? Get that LinkedIn? Get that Twitter? Get that big tech? You need to let us express our ideas. Even if it goes against the narrative, or somehow make them real. For example, through a song or a speech or a presentation. Psychology is, I already told you that. Psychology is a very popular field for us, although I don't really like psychology. I prefer philosophy. I prefer theology. I prefer politics and government. we see pattern. I love law. I love thinking about the law. I consider myself a constitutionalist. I love history. So after the age, so I'm in my 40s. Don't tell anybody, okay? Don't tell anybody. So between 25 and 50, we ENTPs at some point in our lives, we start developing our third function. And so my third function is the feeling aspect. Or maybe, am I right? So ENTPs are dominant intuitives with an auxiliary function in thinking. But the third function is feeling. And the fourth function is sensing. So we are brilliant at wheeling and dealing. We're brilliant at marketing. And our ability to analyze markets, anticipate trends, and persuade others makes this very ripe and very right for us. We have already made our wealth. Some of us by our husbands. We like working in fast-paced, high-stakes, risk-taking areas. I'm not a financial person. I do not care about financial. I prefer thinking about law. And I find law exhilarating. And I believe I'm very good at what I do as a paralegal. Well, as a paralegal, I'm not a paralegal type. I am more of a lawyer type, which is really hard because lawyers don't hire paralegals to do research and writing and analysis. And I am a paralegal who can write and think and analyze. And a lawyer who hires me will have the benefit of seeing different possibilities in their case, and being able to see patterns and areas where we can actually go through. And so I'm very good at thinking around the law and stuff, and seeing patterns that other lawyers might not see. But we find work less than satisfying when we're not able to use our natural thinking abilities. And so I but now in my midlife years, I have developed new interests and activities, and my interest is right now in building a website and having my own platform. And my interest is in raising my child to be a good thinker so that he could be a lifelong learner and he could be an elite. Really? Yes. He's gonna know how to read well. I'm sorry, but this climate in schools I don't like. But now that I'm approaching the 5-0, don't tell anybody, okay? I probably will start using my fourth function with more success. And yeah. So my fourth function, what did I tell you my fourth function was? What did I say the fourth function was? over here, we I can't remember. What was it? Oh yeah. The fourth function is, what is it, like feeling, and that's the third function, and then the other function is sensing. No wait, yeah, feeling and sensing, or sensing and feeling, something like that. Something like that, right? I can't remember. So I think that was the hierarchy. I can't find it right now. Anyways, so I'm looking forward to using my next function, because now in my midlife, and there's no crisis in my midlife. Well, there is a crisis. It's the government crisis. But I was using more my feeling, and that was really cool. And now I am going to be using my fourth, which is going to be quite cool to develop. What are we? We are introverted, thinking, extroverted, thinking, feeling, sensing. I think that's how it is. So the sensing is, do you know what I'm saying? Are you confused yet? So I'm looking forward to that, to learning more about how I work with my fourth, my last sensing. And if I go over, when I was younger, I really went into this, and I was like, oh, that's interesting. And I really took on, like, entrepreneurs is like the number one field that most ENTPs thrive in. We're inventors, management consultants, venture capitalists. I can't be a venture capitalist. Literary agents, photographers, journalists. I'm delving into journalism, but in this climate, they're really censoring journalism. I really like it. Attorney, litigator. I really wanted to be a litigator. I really like that area. Human resource recruiter, because we're just good at putting people into boxes. We are marketing. We're very creative directors. We're public relations specialists, marketing, research planners. And I've really tried to learn marketing on my own. And I think entrepreneurship, marketing, business, where it's really, if I were a planning and developer, I'd be a strategic planner. But now in late in life, it's really hard to get into those areas. So I really, for me, I really like the business and the marketing creativity portions. Internet marketer, I'm not very effective, because in this climate they want to censor you. Really hard. Politics, yeah, we're very good at politicians and socialists, but I have a son and I'm homeschooling, so I really can't do that right now. My full-time job is my son. So when I have any free time for myself, I like doing this. So, anyways, it's a really good book. I highly recommend this book. We prioritize, we focus, and we follow through, especially with commitments made by others. So that's one area that we're learning how to do. I'm always learning how to prioritize, focus, and follow through. And that's why I don't have my tiara yet, because it's really hard. Anyways, so this book is really good. So if you want to know who you are, and you want to analyze yourself and you're interested in personalities, highly recommend it. And we ENTPs, we're just all about what if. And this Michelle Nelson Smith, again, she created this book called What If, and I really like it. When I was reading it, I always said, hey, what if? What if you don't go up to that person and talk? You'll never get to know him. What if you do this and it turns out okay? What if? So we're always in the what if. That's an ENTP. And Michelle Nelson Smith could not have put it any easier for what it means to be an ENTP. What if? So this little guy, you could say that's me. And this little guy, he's my what if monster. And he's constantly saying what if. And this is in Spanish. So this what if Jonathan James and what if monster, he's always constantly with the little monster. He's always saying what if this, what if your head hurts, what if you're full of doubt, what if they laugh at you, what if it's difficult, what if you're scared, what if, until Jonathan James decides he can't take it anymore, and so he put all these what ifs into perspective and just said, I'm gonna do it. And so this really, if you're an ENTP, I highly recommend this book. It's only $6.99, and they have it in Spanish. I love Spanish. So I first bought the English version because we only had English, and then Osborne decided to translate Osborne Books and More decided to translate all their books, and so I sold my other copy and I bought the Spanish version. And it's the 4th of July, so this is not an Osborne Books and More book, but it's a really good classic book. It was copywritten in 1956. And the new paperback edition is 1995. I really like this book. It talks about the birthday of our country and what happened on the 4th of July, long before there were fireworks and parades. Alice Dalgleish takes young readers back to the revolutionary time. And it's not really a revolutionary time, it's really a rebellious time in our nation. Back to the colonists when they rebelled, and desire of freedom and the creation of the Declaration of Independence. Simple text captures the excitement of the era, telling how word of independence traveled up and down the 13 colonies, touching the lives of everyday people throughout the land. Like all of Alice's Dalglish's work, the 4th of July story remains the American classic. I highly recommend it if you could find it. It's a really good story, and this is probably what I'm going to be reading this week with my son, to get him ready for the 4th of July. Another great book that ties into being an ENTP is Choose Your Own Journey. We ENTPs love to choose our own journey, and we like to create our own path. And if we are not allowed to create our own path, then woe is that person who doesn't allow us to create our own path. So this book is ready because it takes your kid on a ride to go wherever they need to go, either by boat, by train, or car, or bike. You decide which vehicle to follow, but can you guess which one will make it to the last page? So, is it the ENTPs who are going to make it to the last page? Are we going to follow our own path? Choose your own journey and follow your own different vehicles up and down, in and out of the pages of this interactive book. So if you go into this book, the colors are really pretty, and your child will be choosing between the paths. So if he chooses this path, he goes down this way. If he chooses this path, the bike path, this is how he chooses. So there are, how many paths are there? So if you go over here, there are 4 paths. Okay, and your child says, well, I want to take the boat path. So you're going to see the boat in every picture. And let's say he wants to take the monorail path. You're going to see him underground. The car, you're going to see him above ground. The bicycle, you're going to be seeing him trailing along the path. And it's a really nice book that you could actually read for a lot. And he could pick his path, a different path every time. So here's a boat. See? So if your child picked a boat, you'll see the challenges along the way on each path that they choose, which is a really good book to tie into careers and be an ENTP. I think that's really what I wanted to talk about. And there's another book that I'm interested in sharing. Is The Atomic Habit. And my path in this book is really, I look at the index and I say, what am I interested in? So I open the page to that index and that's what I read. So I open the page to how to find a game where the odds are in your favor. And I read that one because I am an ENTP. And I'm constantly choosing a different game. So this game didn't work. So let's choose this game and let's go this path. I don't really stay on one path. I tend to kind of like cross paths, And so this book is really, really good because my favorite game is playing dominoes. My heritage is Cuban, and so I love playing dominoes, and learning to play a game where the odds are in your favor is critical. So dominoes is one game that I could play that are in my favor because I love strategy, and I love seeing if I can strategize with a partner. So in the game of Cuban dominoes, you're playing against 2 people, right? But and you're partnering up with another person, but you cannot really talk strategy. So the strategy is that each of you has to look at each other's pieces and try to strategize and help each other out without really telling each other what to do. So it's a really good game. If you've never played it, I highly recommend the game of dominoes. And what I like about this book is that you're learning to play the game where the odds are in your favor, and it's very critical for maintaining your motivation and feeling successful. In theory, you can enjoy almost anything. In practice, you are more likely to enjoy the things that come easily to you. That's what he says. For me, I enjoy the things that do not come easily for me, so I don't agree with that statement. I like challenging things. People who are talented in a particular area tend to be more competent at the tasks and are then praised for doing a good job. They stay energized because they are making progress where others have failed. And right here, failure, I love failure because whenever I fail, it's just another way to do it differently. So failure for me is not a hardship, and because I get rewarded when I fail and then I succeed. So I see my little successes, even though you may not see my little successes. So I highly recommend this book. It is enlightening. Pick the right habit and progress easy. I don't want to pick an easy path. I've never picked in my life an easy path. When I was younger, I moved to Denver because it was far away from home. It was not easy. And I knew I was going to be challenged by being on my own and not being supported. So pick the wrong habit and life is a struggle. I like life as a struggle. Life is meant to be a struggle, and it's what makes you grow and learn and be a better you. So I do not pick the easy route, whatever. So how do you pick the right habit? I pick the right habit because the right habit for me is one that I'm going to struggle and I'm going to fail a lot and I'm going to learn a lot. I like the school of hard knocks. My degree is in failure and struggle and just being a better you by doing it hard, not doing it easy. I don't. So I explore and exploit the hard, not the easy, because it's more fun and more challenging and more entertaining and more learning. I really like this book, and I love what he says about genes and biology, and because it brings back how our founding fathers, they declared that we are all created equal in his image, but we're all different, and he talks about that in his book, about how all of us are different. Here it is. I want to talk. So your unique cluster of genetic traits predisposes you to a particular personality. Yep, I am an ENTP. Your personality is a set of characteristics that is consistent from situation to situation, and the most proven scientific analysis of personality traits known as a Big Five. So, what I like about it is, okay, so from openness to experience, from curious and innovative to on one end to cautious and consistent on the other end. I am open to experience. I love experiencing things. Um, Conscientious, organized and efficient, to easygoing and spontaneous. I like being easygoing and spontaneous. I like being fun, loving, and spontaneous. The whole world is my playground. And the whole world is my learning center. Extroversion, that's me. Outgoing and energetic to solitary to reserved. I'm not solitary and reserved unless I'm reading a good book. Then you're going to find me in a book. So we ENTPs, we are like on the cusp between introverted and extroverted. When we're introverted, we're reading a book. When we're extroverted, we are thinking and sharing ideas. Agreeable and friendly. I am agreeable. I don't know about you, but I am always agreeable. I am very friendly. I am very compassionate. I am also very challenging and can be very detached. So, neuroticism. When in my younger years, I was quite anxious and sensitive because I didn't have my T finally defined. But in my later years, I am very confident, calm, and very stable because now I've balanced my T with my feeling, and so I am a very well-rounded person now. And if you're not my friend, you're missing out because I am the best friend and the most loyal person you can have. And this climate is really, really, really scaring me. That is it for today. I hope you go and try our books. This one right here, Choose Your Own Journey. The What If Monster. And they're not very expensive. This one's only $6.99. This one's only $11.99. And this one is probably the cheapest because I got it used. The original price was $5.99, but I did not get it for $5.99. Although I did pay the shipping cost. So the shipping cost probably put this book back at the original cost. So, and then this book, I really think you should get it. Everybody should read his book. James Clear. He's a good author, and I like his writing. He has something good to say, and I do recommend them. So, that's it for today. Oh, and if you want to be more likable, I do recommend this. It actually has really good points on how to synchronize your body and have a better attitude and being in yourself. It's really, really good. But in this climate, if you're an ENTP, we gotta be careful. Anyways, signing off and talk to you later. Please comment below and let me know what you think. And what personality type are you? Where do you fall on the spectrum? Bye. K4699.myubam.com. Don't forget to also visit CubanGoddessBookLady.com and sign up for the best emails out there yet. Sign up for my email community. You won't regret it, I promise. And I'm a real person. I write my own emails, so you can actually reply and we can have a conversation. And if you like my idea, maybe you can start a debate over email. It's the safest route. Really, it is. So if you're that kind of person and you're a conceptualizer and like debating, please join my email community. Thanks. Bye. Toodles.